Welcome to the Activity Call Live. Now let's hear it for our special guest host, Adam Katz.
Hello, Alliance Nation. We are actually coming to you from the Burlington studios. We are up in Burlington this morning and excited to be here with you. I am joined by my beautiful bride, Beth. Couldn't think of anybody better to do this call with. Just in terms of, we're going to talk to you about relationships and why they're so important to your business and to your future and your success with the Alliance. We have been part of the Alliance now. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary. The Alliance is celebrating its 20th anniversary, and we have been here for every step of the way, and excited to have been part of this company and part of this family the whole time. I've been very nostalgic lately.
I sneeze in threes. I'm done.
She's just getting started. But I had the opportunity to fly with Andy last week. Andy and Jane. What a pleasure to be able to travel with Jane also. I think that was Jane's first road trip, and then she's done another one this week, and we're gonna go see them in Raleigh, 12 o'clock. So anybody in the Raleigh area or within driving distance of the Raleigh area, Andy and Jane Albright will be there from 12 to 3. The details are on Hotspots. But I had the opportunity to get to travel with them last week. We hit. I didn't fly with them the whole time. I flew with them. Actually, I flew with them a few weeks ago. I didn't fly with them at all. I had one trip last week, but I drove to catch up with them in different locations. Ended up going to 4 different meetings that they were doing, and we're just kind of stalking them. But just being able to have dinner with them and watching Andy do the same training, meeting after meeting, and it really got me back to thinking about how did this business start? How did our relationship start? And then, just having other conversations. We were talking with Jerry and Cassie Burbage last week in Nashville, and just kind of talking about our relationships, mine and Andy's relationship, and Beth and Jane's relationship. And it just got me thinking that we're here because of that. The money's great. Don't get me wrong. If we didn't make another friend, we'd stay in it for the money. But the friendships we've developed over the years, and the friendship and partnership we have with Andy and Jane is just it's special. It's special, and you don't find that very often in life. And when you find it, it's something you need to nurture, and it's something you need to treasure. Beth, just a little bit on that topic, just kind of the time we spent with Andy and Jane, and the last 20 years with the Alliance, but really we go back 30 years with those guys.
Right. I mean, it's like Adam and I we're high school sweethearts, and so we have been together for more than we were ever had life without each other. And that I feel that way about Andy and Jane, that I can't think of any moment really in our adult life, good days, bad days, that Andy and Jane aren't an integral part, that they've been there. They've lifted us up. They've celebrated with us. They've encouraged us. And when we were having a hard time, they've held us close. They've loved on us. And there have been times when we've dealt with things they couldn't just solve, because they're awesome, but they aren't miracle workers. And there've been things that they couldn't solve for us, but they've been with us in it. And I just think it's a testament to who they are. And then as we look at the Alliance picture, that's who they attract. You attract people that are like you. And so we're bringing in more and more people, and the people who've stuck around with us, our Foxhole buddies, we've got relations. I think of Mike and Noelle Leventovich, and just the stories that we create by our extended family through the Alliance. But our life is about these relationships.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Our daughter Emily, who just recently qualified agency manager, and we're so proud of her. She's working really hard. She did a time clock thing, clocked in and clocked out for a week just to really try and get a hold of her time, which, by the way, I would recommend and encourage everybody to do something like that. And that week she was doing 13-hour days, which is just really cool. 21 years old, for her to be that focused and that willing to put the time and effort and grind. I think so many times people get started in this business and they don't understand that starting a business is, from scratch. You don't have to make up everything. We have the system and everything, but your business, your personal business, is starting from the day you get started. That's where you have to start from. And if you're going to build anything of consequence, there's going to be a certain level of grinding that you're going to have to go through. Every business has that. And the fact that we have the system we have and the leadership we have, and Gina Hawks and Alliance University and ARC and all these advantages, that eliminates so many excuses of why you can't be successful, but it doesn't eliminate the need to have just a tremendous work ethic and a focus to be successful. It's like, I've had some agents that, they're like, well, what about this? And it's just like, they don't want to do anything. And it's, it's almost like if I filled out the application and all they had to do was sign it, they'd be like, really? And it's just like they want everything done for them. And that's not this. We have so many advantages, so many, so many shortcuts with our systems, but you can't shortcut the numbers, and you can't shortcut your mindset, and you can't shortcut what it takes to build anything of consequence and of success. And so I'm real proud of Emily. And, she had the opportunity to travel with Andy this week. And so they've been flying around, and we were talking to her this morning. And again, it got me thinking about, she was asking questions, where she is in the business of, just different things about what she should be doing, what she should be thinking about, how she should be, managing her time between sales and building, how she should be managing her money. Because she's independent now. She's off my payroll. She's on her own payroll, and how she should be managing her money and building and what all in looks like. And all those conversations that Beth and I had with Andy and Jane 30 years ago, 20 years ago when we started the Alliance. And it just got me thinking about that. And
conversations you still have.
In conversation,
it's not like you were telling Emily. This is it's not a one-time conversation. When you're seeking coaching from someone, it's a regular day in, day out.
Right. Because as your business grows and as your business evolves, you're going to have different conversations, about how do you invest and where do you spend time and how do you communicate and all of those things. It's important to me that Emily is building that relationship with Andy and Jane, so that she can have those transparent conversations with them, and get the input of a man who has built an empire, a financial empire. And the exciting part to me is this. Okay, yeah, it's our 20th year, but we're just beginning.
We are.
We're just beginning, and to see more of the second generation coming in and getting more involved. Obviously, Brandon and Haley, you got Spencer, you got Emily. I know the Leventovich kids are actively involved in the Leventovich business. I know Chan Man is actively involved in Stephen Davies' business, and it's so cool to see that next generation coming on. As we continue to grow and evolve ourselves. But to me, it all goes back to the relationships, and building those relationships. And there are some critical things, I think, that tie into the relationship. We call it foxhole buddies. Who would you want in a foxhole with you? If you were, if you had your back against the wall and phone a friend. You had, who's your one phone call if you're there? Who's in the foxhole with you? Who's got your back? And how can you identify people that can become that person for you? And again, it's just like everything else. Day one, they're probably not going to be that person. But as the business evolves and as your relationship with people evolve, people identify themselves as that kind of person. I heard this trained at Alliance meetings. You want to be dependable, defendable, and predictable. Okay, dependable, defendable, and predictable. And we were in Nashville with Jerry and Cassie Burbidge, or I was in Nashville with Jerry and Cassie Burbidge. Beth wasn't there, but we just got to talking about the relationship, and how do you, I don't think, I know what we have with Andy and Jane is very special, and I know Beth and I have worked very hard to respect the relationship and respect Andy and Jane's position in the company, while at the same time continuing to build and nurture the relationship we've had for the last 30 years. But Jerry's question is, how do you find somebody like an Adam and Beth that'll lock arms with you and just kind of be there and go through the battles with you? It's an interesting perspective from my side, because I'm always like, how do you find an Andy and Jane that'll pour so much into you? And the only way, and so I think the short answer to that is this: if you want to find somebody who will be in the foxhole with you, you got to be the kind of leader and the kind of person that will pour in and defend the people that you want to have your back. One thing I've never had to worry about is do Andy and Jane do she's an English person. I was social studies. Do Andy and Jane have our back? Never had to worry about that. Never had to worry about what they were thinking. Never had to worry about if there was a question, would it go our way, or would they do something against us? I never had to worry about that, and I still don't have to worry about that. If there's ever been a question of a dollar, Andy's not going to argue with. He's like, he puts the relationship so much higher than everything else, and that's the model we've seen for the last 20 years in the Alliance, and it's the model that we've tried to duplicate. And we got a few people on the call now that fit perfectly into that dependable, defendable, predictable personality. So let's start. Dan, Billy, if you could bring Dan up front and center. Dan, can you hear us? You are good to go.
I can, loud and clear.
Awesome. So Dan Mirdo, Dan and his beautiful bride Deanna, they are, to me, I see in them what Beth and I have tried to be for Andy and Jane, which is just the consummate team player. In terms of defendable and dependable and predictable, Dan and Deanna are the people I never have to worry about. Are they going to be where they're supposed to be? If I need them, I know he's going to be there. If I tell him this is where I need you to be, there's never a question. There's never an argument. And it's been really cool developing this relationship with Dan and Deanna. One of the advantages Beth and I had with Andy and Jane is this: we started life in the same place. They're a couple years older than us, but they were married to two incomes, no kids, dinks. They were dinks. We were dinks, double income, no kids. And so we kind of grew in life together, in experiences and children and all of that stuff. Dan and Deanna are significantly younger than we are, and they're in a different place family wise. We're empty nesters. They just had a baby, Sophia, a few months ago. How old is she now?
She's almost a year.
She'll be 10 months.
10 months. That's a few months. Ours was a few months ago too. 19, almost 20 years ago was our last baby. But Dan, what is it? Because I know you're intentional about this too, and that's one of the things I love about you and Deanna is that you are intentional about the relationship and building that relationship. So why is that important to you? Why is that something that you guys decided to invest time and energy into?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the call. Adam and Beth, I always like to take the time to really appreciate you guys and thank you for everything you've done for our lives, professionally, personally, everything. Thank you. And I don't know. I don't know if it's something I've had to work at or if it's my natural personality. But what I will say is you've made it very easy to trust you, right? So building the relationship with you, I've never, like you said about Andy, I've never had to worry that you were going to put me in a bad position, right? So you've taken that off of, Stephen Davey always says, take it off my worry plate. So you've always taken the business side off of my worry plate, where it was, hey, how can I get better on my craft? How can I get better in building relationships like you guys have? And so I think to be honest, that's what builds our relationship even stronger, is because I don't have to worry. I don't have to say, oh, what's he saying behind my back? Or does he have my best interest? I've never had those worries. And I think that I'm just trying to emulate that with everyone that I speak with. And it's hard, right? Because sometimes you sit with some people and it's, you're interviewing people and it's hard to always see the positive side of people. But I think that, what I'm noticing is the more I do that, the more I'm getting the responses from them to buy in, to plug in, to want to build a relationship with me instead of just keeping it transactional. Right.
And, and that's huge. It's hard to look at and the reality is this, everybody is different. So you meet people where they are, and some people are more prone to be that kind of running buddy, that kind of foxhole buddy. There are other people who are just a lot more independent natured. And that's okay for them. But you're always looking for the ones that want to go next level with that relationship. Beth, just talk a little bit more about that aspect of it in terms of being intentional about building the relationship. Obviously, I built the relationship with Andy. You built the relationship with Jane. We're building relationships with couples here as well. What are some things that you try and focus on in terms of building the relationships with couples?
I think it kind of goes back to the turtle on the fence post. What do you know about the turtle on the fence post? They didn't get there by themselves. And so whether it's your nature or not to be a team player, this business and really life, your success in life is going to depend upon your ability to interact with other people. And so taking that, I watched what Jane has been so good about, just finding ways to connect. And her biggest way to connect has been to be present. So when she would be at meetings, and this goes back 30 years, but our relationship started because we were in the same places together a lot. And I would seek out to sit beside her when I could and just stand beside her when I could. So it's those little things. So as we were building teams, it's looking for people who want that as well. People who will hang around, people who will lean in to the alliance. Those are people that are easier to work with, as Andy would say. They're easier to work with. So let's build a relationship there because they're easier to work with. So I think, so being present and then just understanding that I'm not just a wife when I'm sitting here with Adam, that we're in business together. We are parents together. I'm still a daughter. I'm still a sister. So we are who we are 24/7. So we can't just put the alliance in a box. And because of that, it leads us to having conversations about life and marriage and children and finances and everything else that's really even bigger picture than just what was your commission check?
Yeah. And one of the coolest things for me, first of all, watching Jane travel with Andy these last 2 weeks is really, really neat to see them in meetings together. And, obviously they're on the plane together and all of that. But now that our last one is in college, Andrew's out in college now, it frees up Beth's time. The home commitments aren't as frequent. So we've been able to actually travel together. She's done a few road trips with me and looking forward to doing more and more road trips together. And that's a cool part too. So Dan, talk to me about the value of team. What does team mean to you, and what are some things you're trying to do to duplicate what you've seen Andy put together and to duplicate some of the things Beth and I try and do, you see us try and do? What are some of those things you're trying to do with your team as you're growing your business to AM and beyond?
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to, relationship building. And, first of all, being somebody that other people want to be around is, I think, the first step, right? Be attractive. That way people are attracted to you. And I think, so many times I got to snap myself out of a negative mood or a thought process that I know is not attractive, but for whatever reason just feels good for my ego. And so if you can check your ego at the door and realize that 5 seconds worth of, adrenaline or endorphins, whatever you get, it's not worth it long-term for building a business. And so just being the person that people are attracted to, I think, goes a really long way to building a team. And then the importance of the team is, a quick story. A couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, I was just in a rut. It felt like, none of the leads were working. Nobody was home. Nobody would let me in. Nobody would say yes. And it just seemed like I couldn't catch a break, couldn't do anything right, basically. And so I started thinking, it's got to be my phone script. It's got to be my in-home presentation. It's got to be, all these things I'm doing is wrong. And it was just a bad week, right? And so, talked with you and you recommended that, hey, I should reach out to people that I know, people that I don't normally talk to. So, a couple quick shout outs. I talked out to Jake Joseph and Chris Manifold and just, it was just comforting to hear that they go through the same thing, that it's not just me. It's not just my area. And it just, I don't know. And I think I know that, but just to be reminded of it, because your mind starts wandering and you start just having, it starts to snowball. And if you could just cut that and get rid of it, just to know that people care about you, for me, it made the world a difference. And then actually, another person I talked to was Linda Gopal. And the crazy thing is, I don't even think she knew I was calling to complain or to get, I just called her and she just happened to be so fired up about something. And she went on for about 20 minutes about what her team's doing and what they're working on. And I just smiled the whole time. Right. And almost at the end, she's like, oh, by the way, what's going on? And I was like, nothing, I'm good. Like you don't realize what you did, but you did it. So thank you, and what I would encourage to people as well is if you're brand new, you don't have a team, if you're just getting started, plugging into these calls. I know Wednesday, listening to Brandon Beal, I was in the car. I got so jacked up just listening to his passion, what he was saying. I looked down, I was going 30 miles an hour over the speed limit. So it's just feeding off of other people's passions and emotions and knowing that they're in the fight with you. And then getting to the events, getting the breakthrough, meet Brandon, meet these people, make those connections, right? Because we all have our smaller, individualized teams, but this big team, it's what makes everything work. So it's just association, having a great attitude, and the people you bring on board, they're going to see that, they're going to copy you, they're going to be a joy to work with.
Yeah, I mean, you said so many good things there. No, one of the big things that Andy always talks about is make a friend before you need a friend. Make a friend before you need a friend. So there's positive communication with cross-line running buddies. There's and that's encouraged. It's as the key is be uplifting to each other. And that's the culture that we've created here at the Alliance. But we all hit those days. We all hit a wall at some time in our business. Look, we deal with people. People are crazy. A person is very unpredictable. Now, people themselves are very predictable. You take a large sample size. We know what the numbers are. That you can't beat the numbers, and the numbers can't beat you, because people as a whole are very predictable. But individually, and when you're dealing with people on a one-on-one basis, whether you're talking to them about sales or whether you're talking to them about recruiting and joining your business team, you're going to get all kinds of reactions. And what I've learned is this: you're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad days in your marriage. I'd never have. Beth has had many a bad day in her marriage. I have never had a bad day in my marriage. You're going to have bad days with your kids. You're going to have bad days with your parents. You're going to have bad times in different relationships. And it's going to be the same thing with you and your clients. You're going to have bad times in client relationships. So you're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad weeks. Things just don't fall into place. You put the same effort, activity, energy, everything into it. You ran the same numbers. It's not like you only ran 4 appointments when you were running 24 appointments. You still ran your same numbers. It just didn't click for whatever reason. And those are times you don't panic. You just can't hit the panic button. I love all sports. The NFL has just started, and there are teams that are 0-2, and there's like some teams are panicking, other teams are not panicking because they realize it's a long season, and this is a long season. It's our careers, and so you don't have to hit the panic button in your business because you had a bad day, you had a bad week, might even have a bad month. Generally not, but you might. But here's what I know. I know this for a fact. Bet me, argue with me, prove me wrong. You'll never have a bad quarter. You'll never have a bad quarter. And so don't fall into a hole and bury don't hide. Isolation is one of the worst things you can do for your business. Sales is lonely. It's you out there working with clients. And yes, you have a team of people behind you, but you're on the front line. And so one of the things we always did is we always ran to Andy and Jane when we had adversity in our lives. We didn't run and hide from them. And that's one of the things that if I could change one thing about people that we work with on our team, it would be that they would run to us when things are bad, instead of running and hiding, living in, shame's the wrong word for it, but in their mind, they're embarrassed about their lack of whatever. And so they don't want to face it. And so that those are all critical things. Beth, anything you want to add on that?
That is huge about the not hiding. And I love it when, so we have this system, right? So if Adam is not in quite the right headspace and he hasn't reached out to Andy as soon as I think he should, I can always go to Jane. And then Jane sends a message to Andy, and Andy reaches out to Adam. And suddenly Adam is just in a totally different place because he's got the mindset shift that he needs. So that has worked well for us. I'm pretty sure Dan knows that Deanna and I have some communications as well. But just that ability to kind of relate to each other and to say, hey, you are not alone. If you'll lean into the system. So I once asked Jane, how do you build relationships with so many people? And she said, I reach out and I see who reaches back. And it's the same thing on the good days as on the bad days. If who are you reaching out to and who's reaching back to you?
Yeah. I was talking to an agent earlier this morning, and he's, made phone calls, didn't get any connections. And it's just like, I can't make them answer the phone. I can't, that's part of the grind. Hardest part about what we do is getting people to answer the phone. And you just got to understand that that's part of it. And it's the same thing in building relationships with your team is, if they won't return a text, if they won't return a phone call, I can't make them, but that is you work with the ones that want to be worked with. So thank you, Dan. Appreciate all of that. Jill Templeman, Jill runs our office in Wilmington, and we have started doing some new things in the Wilmington office for whoever wants to participate in it. We read a book by John Gordon called Stick Together, and these are principles that we've always known, and and Beth and I, that's something we've always practiced with the Alliance, with Andy and Jane, but also with the bigger team, is that concept of sticking together and being accountable to each other. And I've loved watching Jill interact with our team. And Jill has now gotten excited about what we do and who we are. And she's gotten her license. She's out there helping families also. And she's excited about what we stand for. So Jill, if you would kind of talk about, you've been working with us now almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. When you first came to us, talk a little bit about what you saw in the Alliance that got you excited about your new job working with us, and then why that also evolved into you deciding to go ahead and get your insurance license and take advantage of that part of the opportunity as well.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having us on. Thank you for having me on, but our team. And of course, Andy and Jane, thank you for giving us this opportunity. I remember when I came in for an interview, I don't know if you remember, but we were in our old office and I came in the very first time, walked in the doors, and I remember it felt like home. It wasn't a traditional office. It wasn't a traditional, cubicle or anything we had to sit beside or do. There were overhead lights on, but there were lamps, and it was there were couches, and it was so inviting. And I remember going, wow, is this real or is this fake? Are we living? This is an office? No, this isn't how people are. So I remember going I came to you, I think it was maybe the third or fourth time that we had the interview. I got the books. I was reading the books and I was like, this isn't a real work environment. Nothing was traditional. I was a case manager for 5 years. You had to do everything by the book. And you had to, we didn't have lamps on. We didn't have couches in our office. And we had desks, and we had to, everything was protocol. So coming here to the Alliance, first, that was a complete shock. And then when I attended my first meeting, Adam and Andy and everybody that they brought around were just so amazing and nice and my kind of people. And then I attended the first meeting, and I tend to sit in the back and watch people. And I approach the people that seem like they're uncomfortable, like they don't really know how to fit in. So those are the people that I want to welcome. I want to make them feel like they have a place, because wherever you are, you have a place. God put you here for a reason. We all have a place. So I was looking, and everybody did that though. Everybody would go to the person that's the shyest or maybe not not happy to be there. They're happy to be there. They're there for a reason, but they're not excited about being there just yet. And when I looked around, I wasn't the only one doing it. And I'm normally the only one that waits for the outcast and then goes and jumps on them like, hey, you want to be a friend? I'll be your friend. So I want to include the people that just don't feel like they have a place. But the Alliance does that itself. And it's amazing. And I think what drew me into the culture was just seeing that everybody wants to make everybody else feel welcome. No matter what your background is, no matter what your story is, no matter how big your house is or how nice your car is, everybody has a place. And then you work to goals to get the big house or the big car, or whatever it is that you want. And that's what drew me in to begin with.
Awesome. Yeah, it's I've always told people this: if you're part of my business team, you're part of my family. And because that's what it takes. That's what we've seen modeled is, treat them like family. Don't treat them, Dan used the word transactional. That's, if there's one thing I would say that separates the Alliance out from every other wannabe out there, it's that we are relational, not transactional.
I agree.
Don't get me wrong. Make money is our top three. Have fun, make money, make a difference. We're going to make money. We are a for-profit business, but we don't have to transact each other to be able to have success. We don't have to transact our clients. You look at Megan Wood's success and what she's been able to do, as a top producer in the whole company. And it's because she is so relational with her clients that they just love her. And she just makes them family immediately. And that's what she's had a lot of success. So Jill, talk a little bit about what we're trying to create. I mean, not specifically what we do, but just the idea of building that foundation in the office, because you've been such a critical part of that, connecting with the agents and making everybody feel welcome. I travel a lot. Beth has life as well, and so there's a lot of times where you are the face of our agency, and you are the first point of contact, and sometimes the only point of contact when people come to the office. So talk about what we're trying to accomplish in the office and how it's bearing. To me it's working very well and bearing a lot of fruit, if you would.
Certainly. So I think I've said this to you many times, but when I don't want the feeling, when you walk in the doors, you should feel happy to be there. It should be one of the happiest places. You should have somebody, walk up to you immediately or say, hey to you, jump up, excited to see you. One of my favorite things about coming home is I have a bunch of dogs and they love when I come home and they're happy to see me and they're wagging their tails and they're, why can't we treat each other like that? I'm not going to wag my tail for you, but I will jump up and give you a hug, Well, I might wag my tail. Let's just be honest. I like to dance. So, but I want to create that feeling, when you walk in, everybody's happy to see you. You're just happy to be there. And, and again, it's that loner. I don't want anybody to feel left out or like that they're not part of the team. I'm in my husband's man cave. We believe in teams and sports around here. And, and my kids are in teams. What is one of the best things about being in a team? Because, I have a batting cage in my backyard for my kids. They can go hit a bat all day, go hit a ball all day, but it's not as fun, right? Because when you're on the field, you're with your team. And then there's that feeling of togetherness. There's that feeling of being somewhere and being accepted. You're accepted by your team. You're going towards the same goal. You want the same things. And, why can't our workplace be just like that? I loved playing sports. And I know that, the stick together, it to me is our team. And yeah, we hold each other accountable. If we get in the office and we're not dialing, we'll be the first to go, aren't you supposed to be dialing? But in a loving way, not a negative, not a mean way. It's such a loving, just a natural, like, hey, aren't you supposed to show up for practice on time? If you're not You got to run the bases, you got to run the fence line, run the poles, whatever. So it's kind of that same concept of, let's pull together, because it is lonely. Sales are lonely. And when you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, or you might have one or two, but when you feel like you have a team, somebody that understands exactly that you just left a house that had 17 cats, and how in the world could they have 17 cats? So they understand that, because they're doing it too. They're in the fight. They're in with us. We're all in this together. And what better person to connect with than somebody that's actually out there living and meeting the crazy people, and the amazingly crazy people, because it takes all types to make the world go round. But I like to turn it into stories. I give my clients made up names, and I love to turn it into a story, because life is an adventure, and this thing is really fun. You just got to let it be fun, have fun with it. So that's what I try to do at the office. I try to turn it into, we don't even use overhead lights. We use lamps. And, we have a ton of couches, and the new office is smaller, which I love, because it gives us more of a chance. People can't, go off in a corner and just do their thing. They have to act. I can hear everything. In the old office, you could really go into a corner, and I wouldn't know if you were dialing or not. Not that I'm the coach. I'm not trying to, but we all do, in a way, want to hold each other accountable. So why shouldn't we, dial on top of each other?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the team is only as strong as its weakest player. And so if you want to be part of the team, one of your goals should be to become better, to uplift each other. Andy's always demonstrated the philosophy the Alliance is built on: a rising tide raises all ships philosophy. And so the ability to work with each other and support each other and encourage each other, that's huge. That's where the relationships come in. And even if you're at a distance and the best we can do for you is Zoom, then, plug in. Be
right.
Part of it. Be part of the team calls. Be part of that. Because the more you choose to be part of that team, the more the team can help you grow and support you. It's one of those, Tim Goat always said, everybody wants somebody to perform with and somebody to perform for. And, and I'm seeing it with Andy's team. He is attracting so many high caliber people who have made a tremendous amount of money through prior businesses. But they don't have a team like Andy has a team. And they're attracted to the team. They're attracted to the culture. They're attracted to the energy of all of that. So yeah, it's and Jill, we appreciate you so much. You're such a pivotal part, critical part to what we're doing in Wilmington, and to what you do for the agency as a whole, reaching out to people, encouraging. Andy says this all the time. Our job, each individual person, our job is to be the CEO, which is the chief encouraging officer. Of everybody that you come into contact with. And I love what you say about, everybody needs encouragement. I think Zig Ziglar's the one who first said it. Everybody's walking around with a sign over their head that says, flashing sign, make me feel special, make me feel important. And the more we can do that for people, the more successful we'll all be. Beth,
and if I could say one more thing is, if you don't have a local group and you're going to Breakthrough, use that time to make friends.
Yeah.
Use that time. It is so important to have somebody in your life that you can pick up the phone and call that is doing the exact same thing you're doing.
Absolutely.
Use that time.
Absolutely. Great bit of advice for everybody going to Breakthrough. Beth, anything you want to add about the Wilmington office and just building that local culture? I'll be honest with you, I do it as much for me to encourage me as I do for anybody else.
You mentioned the flashing sign. It reminds me of the video the that the Alliance has of everybody has a story. And I think when we come together in that smaller group within our office, or when we get together with people at Breakthrough, just that reminder that everybody's dealing with something. They're either walking into something, they're in the middle of something, or they've just finished something. And so that the intimacy that we have in our Stick Together group allows that vulnerability of being able to bring your story, but know that wherever you are right now isn't your finish point. There's another chapter. There's another page. Let's keep turning the page and writing the rest of your story.
So, Linda Goebel, you can't have a foxhole buddy unless they're in the foxhole with you. And there has been nobody in our business who has been more of the definition of a team player and a foxhole buddy than Linda and her husband, Keith. When I think about the words dependable, defendable, and predictable, I never have to worry about what's Linda thinking, what's Linda doing, and do I need to check on Linda to make sure that she's doing the right things or is going to be where we need her to be. And Linda, I thank Andy and the office here for giving me the opportunity to thank you publicly for always doing that for us and being that pillar. Because here's what it does. When you have somebody like a Linda and Keith on your team and who has your back and is predictable and is dependable and defendable, to be clear, it gives you a freedom to go out with a confidence, because it's just like, well, I can't be all wrong and all bad because Linda's still with me. And Linda's pretty smart and she's got her stuff together, at least visibly. And so, so I can't be wrong all the time if Linda's still with me. So Linda, if you would talk about dependable, defendable, predictable, is that something you intentionally do? Is it just your natural, this is who you are? How do you try and build that with the people you're working with as well?
That's awesome. Well, I'd like to just stay in that space where you're complimenting me. So that would be great. So I love you, Adam. Love you, Beth. Appreciate just being a part of it. You asked if I do it intentionally. I think I do. I try to be intentional about everything. But I think that's natural. That is part of who I am. But that's intentional, right? To create that in me and become part of who I am. So I think you said it in the beginning of the call was, having a someone like Andy, like you're reaching, like you have Andy. And then I think you and Beth have become that to us, right? Andy and Jane to us, right? To me. And so I actually took a note that you want to find a someone, right? That you can be there and perform for, but then you've got to become someone else's someone, right? And so it's a cool thing about a pyramid. It just kind of goes down the line. So if you can reach for it in someone else and become it, then someone can reach for it in you. And so I think we had a team call and we do a question of the week to kind of get to know each other. And the question was, what is your favorite characteristic about yourself? And we'd been talking about this. So I thought was, well, you know what? I love that I think I am dependable. And I think, and what that, you guys, that just emulates into everything you do, right? Because then you're going to show up on time and you're going to show up and you're not going to question you don't question if Andy has your back. I don't question if you guys have mine. And I know that. And I love that. I want to be that way for y'all too, right? I want to be that, hey, Adam and Beth can count on me, right? And count on me, period. Like count on me to be at a meeting and count on me to never leave you, right? And so the whole spectrum. And then we got that settled. Now let's just get to work together, right? And so I think, and like you said, it's the freedom to go to go to work and not worry about this piece of the puzzle. So it's a huge quality, but it's all it is just being intentional in building who you want to be, right? Who you want to be for people.
It's one of those things where, and let's not pretend like we don't have groupthink. You believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. Andy believes what he believes. Mm-hmm. But what we do is this: we find the commonalities instead of highlighting the differences. Mm-hmm. I think one of the biggest issues we're dealing with in this country today is that, we're more polarized, more divided than we've ever been as a country. And it's because on social media, everybody's looking to find the commonality of who else says the same things I say, so I can just, surround myself with that. And there's nobody's looking for the commonalities of what do we have in common? Obviously there are differences. And it's one of those things where I remember having this conversation with somebody. If you think over the last 30 years, Andy and I have never had a disagreement about something. Come on. There have been things that we've disagreed on. There have been things that have left me scratching my head because I didn't understand his thought process. But when I asked him, he clarified it and made it understandable to me. But even before I asked him for the clarification or needed anything, I always gave him the benefit of the doubt because of the track record he always had. And it's the same thing, Linda. It's not like you and I, we've been together, 9 years, something like that. Traveled the world together, had a blast, but it's not like we've never had a disagreement about something. We just give each other the benefit of the doubt that we can put that in a box and we can move forward because we know where our heart is and that we're trying to do something powerful together. Talk about a little bit about that, if you would.
About how wrong you are all the time.
That's exactly what I just said.
Oh, and then listening. Yes, I'm supposed to. No, I love it. It's when I first met you, Adam. When I really met you, like I'd seen you walk by on stage, going up to do a talk, and I'll never. And without getting into the backstory of it, you came out to meet me and we had breakfast together. And then I heard, and this was after I heard you and Beth talk, and you guys are phenomenal. And so, but the realness of you was so, I was so grateful for it, right? Because it's like, oh, okay. And then he eats pancakes. That's cool. So, okay, right, my guy. But I always wanted to be, to have kind of the lifestyle and to have the relationship with people like y'all, right? So I ran my business my way, right, when in my space, but always knowing that these are the kind of people, and it's been said here all day, like that you want to be in business with, right? And so if I custom designed you, you would have been a little different, on a little closer to my politicalness, but right. I mean, if I'm picking the exact person, but what I love about it is it doesn't matter. And the four of us have bonded over that dynamic this whole time. Yeah, we don't match on everything, but we care about each other. And I don't think you find that in business, in other spaces. And we can trust each other. The thing, when you talked about foxhole buddies, the thing I was just thinking about, well, what are Adam and Beth to me? And they're people I can count on, right? I can count on you on literally every level of my life, my business, my personal, anything. And then people that care about me, right? So I know that you'll be who you're going to say you're going to be, and you'll be there for me, but I also know that you care. And that's genuine. I mean, and Jill just said it, find a friend inside the alliance, find someone that you can develop a relationship with. And Beth said it earlier with Jane, right? That like you hung out by her, with her, near her to build a friendship, not just have one. And then there are also people that can stretch you, right? And that's kind of but stretch in business, but also in mindset, right? People that are not just like you, will stretch you, right? They'll stretch your thinking, like you say, Andy, clarify it. And they'll stretch your patience, right? Not y'all, but like someone who's different, right? They'll stretch your willingness to look at other perspectives. So I guess I just wanted to say that about the foxhole thing. I think it's important that you intentionally pick who you're going to surround yourself with, right? And that, you said it, healthy cross line, right? As well as people that are up and down from you in the line. But be intentional about it and find those people that you can truly link arms with. Because I say it all the time, like when I'm looking for somebody, I'm making sure I'm going to like to see them walking down the beach, because we're going to do that together, right? We're going to do, that's actual a reality. Like we're going to go hang out in a pool for 12 hours a day in Cancun, right? Dan, right? All of it, like, right? Yeah. So you better enjoy the dynamic. So I guess I would just say be intentional on the relationships you develop, and then work on yourself to be someone,
Yeah. I will tell you, there is no beach or pool in Ireland. So we will have a different trip, different experience. It will be a blast though. And we will have a blast. If you would, Linda, real quick, tell the story. I think it was your first convention. And this is where you've told me this before. This is where you saw Andy, and it's just like, okay, this is a guy I can go to war with. Yeah. If you would tell that story real quick, I'm hoping you know the one I'm referring to.
I do for sure. Yeah. Not I'll make it up. No, I got it. Integrity. Shoot, that's right. So we before I was even licensed, there was a regional conference down in Texas, and I didn't honestly. The drive there was not. It reminded me of old college days, and I was not. I mean, not crazy party, but just like overnight late. And but I watched him get on stage, and he did No, someone got on stage, and I'm not going to say her name because just for her privacy, but it was a leader in the company, and she had come back to getting going again, and she was telling her story about a personal loss in her life, and she was crying and she was heartbroken, and that was amazing. And she was commenting on how much the Alliance cared and was there, and that's good. And it was, I mean, you watched it and it was, but what I watched behind the scenes was even more important to me. You know how they have now they have a green room, right? But they had just kind of a curtain off the side, and because it was a traveling one. And so you could see behind the curtain if you had the right angle, which I did. And I watched her walk off stage, and Andy was at the bottom of the steps, and he just held her while she wept over the loss she had lost a family member, a very close one. And again, I don't want to give too many details to share that, but he just held her in private. No one, he wasn't doing it because people were watching and he wasn't on stage. He just was being there for her. And it was a beautiful moment. I thought that I can get behind that heart of that man to just love people genuinely and not for any accolades or any, this will look good. It was just him being him. And who doesn't want to be in the foxhole with that guy?
Yeah. I think that story encapsulates who Andy and Jane are. Their heart, their love for people, and they want to be meaningful specifics in people's lives. Beth and I want to be meaningful specifics in people's lives. And the whole reason that Andy has brought on Mark Aceta to the Alliance is because he 100% confident believes Mark Aceta will help us grow so that we can make a bigger impact in this country and in this world, and that we can become meaningful specifics to more and more people and change people's lives. And the opportunity, I'm so excited for this. We are now T-minus 6 days and counting to breakthrough. It's not too late to get your ticket. It's not too late to make arrangements. Check Upline if you want to go, see if they have some, see if they can help you get creative on how to get here. But it is going to be literally life-changing for the people who come here with an open mind, looking for something to change their life. We went to one of these meetings. I went to one of these meetings 20 plus years ago. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, walked on fire, the whole deal. And it changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my business. It changed the trajectory of my marriage. It changed the trajectory of my kids' lives. And I am so excited because I truly believe that what Mark has said is going to do at Breakthrough is going to have the same impact. It's going to be a great reset for me. And it's going to be a powerful reset for my children. All three of my kids and their significant others are coming. And we are, it's going to be a life-changing moment. And but we talked about being intentional. It's something you have to be intentional about. So Beth, we are right at time. If you would just kind of wrap us up, closing thoughts, either about Breakthrough or about Foxhole Buddies and the relationships that we've built.
All right. Well, like Adam said, if you don't have a ticket, get a ticket and come to Breakthrough. Come be part of that foxhole that's going to develop at Breakthrough. But this is the place. The Alliance is the place. If you're like, I want some place where I can belong, where I can trust people, where I can become my best version, and where I can be my best to someone else, this is the Alliance. Come join us.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Andy and Jane, for giving us this opportunity to talk to your team. We love you, Alliance Nation. We'll see everybody at Breakthrough.